Tamra Davis. Welcome to General Meeting with Becky Sloviter.
So exciting to be here. What an honor.
It is truly, I am so honored. We actually met in a general meeting, but became friendly. We worked together. You were the only sanity I had at like height of the pandemic when I came and we took a walk on the beach. But so you have been just an important person in my journey, and you are an unbelievably accomplished director you got your start in music videos, then directed a number of movies, one of the greatest comedies of all time, Billy Madison, which we will get to all of this. And then you have continued doing movies, television, documentaries. You are just like incredibly, incredibly accomplished, but you really were a pioneer in this space as a female filmmaker. So I want to get into all of this. But the other thing I just want to tee up that we will get to later is you really have been such an inspiration to me in terms of working motherhood, because God, is it hard. And finding that balance. You are just one of my favorite people and such a well-rounded human, and the coolest. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to talking about all this stuff.
So just to go back to the beginning, born and raised in LA?
Yep.
Studio City?
Yeah.
And then did you always know you wanted to do something in the arts? Did you know directing was the thing?
No, there was always like a connection to Hollywood. So my grandfather was a comedy writer. So there was always like a little of a connection with Hollywood. But at that time growing up, I just thought that girls in Hollywood were actresses.
Yeah.
That's what they did.
Yeah.
So I thought I was going to be an actress at first. Yeah. So I studied, I did play, I just like was a little theater kid going to like acting school and stuff like that, trying to get headshots, casting, things like that.
The true like LA path. And then, but I bet that was also once you started directing, having had that just framework and perspective, really. I bet that was hugely helpful.
For sure. But I just didn't want to be the person in front of the camera. I felt like I had no control if I was in front of the camera, and especially Hollywood in the 80s.
Yeah.
It was a very weird place for a young blonde girl.
And also like, you're so nice and like open.
And I just also was, I don't know, I think like my mom was from the 70s. And so, I grew up as she had woman's lib. Yeah. And so there was this theme in my household that women could do it all. Like women could bring home the bacon and, fry it up in a pan. And like, there was all this messaging that like girls are like, can do it. And like, whatever, go girl. And so I felt like emboldened that, I was like, I could do it. And that obviously was not what happened when you get out there. But I was given from like the culture that girls could do it.
And you had that foundation laid for you like at home and also in the times you were coming up in, right? But really, you were one of the only female filmmakers in the music video scene. And then even as you got into directing full-length features, right?
For sure. Yeah, I feel like there weren't that many girls that I could be, or women that I could be like, oh, I want to be just like her. There were only a few women directing.
Yeah.
There's probably like 5.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. All those women were all like at least 10 to 20 years older than me when I started.
Yeah.
And I was like a little blonde girl, like not like these kind of, I remember meeting Penelope Spheris. She scared the shit out of me. I was like, oh my God, like she's so badass. And I was like, I'm not Penelope Spheris, but I was in the punk scene. And so she was a female director, but she wasn't like an encouraging woman of like, hey, young girl, you should be, she was like, I was scared of her.
Yeah.
And then the same thing I think I met Catherine Bigelow once, and I was like, oh my God, again, like not me. How do I? And I think that's also part of the thing of like, I just kept, and all the men that I knew who were directors were like these big macho men.
Yeah.
But I just kept thinking like, do I have to be a cowboy to direct a Western? Do I have to be that person to direct?
Yeah.
And is there another way? Can't I just be me?
Exactly. Exactly.
And, am I not enough? Or, whatever my gumption is. And so I just felt like I just was going to try and just be like, I'm already at 0. What does more 0 mean? You know what I mean?
What
like,
do you
I'm
have to
already
lose?
what do I have to lose?
Totally.
So I just I was challenging.
So did you, what your first video was Husker Du?
Kind of, yeah. Like basically what happened is I went to film school at LA City College because my family didn't have money. So we couldn't go to like USC or UCLA.
Yep.
I sat into those classes and I didn't like them because they were all like young dudes and they all were like Coppola, like they all thought they were like the next those guys and they all had like these attitudes. And I was like, I'm going to tease everybody because I think I'm going to make a joke of them all. I'm just going to be too antagonistic here. So I went to LA City College. And and then I got out of film school and I had a script, I had a package, and I went for like a general meeting on my script.
I love it.
And but it wasn't good. They basically laughed at me. They were like, "What is this?" I would think I was 20. I was in my early 20s, like 23, something like that. And they literally were like tittering, like, "Who is this?" And then those same people, they turned around, they called my writer and they optioned my script. I know. So I lost my script at the same time. And I was like, oh my God. It was like so
like truly getting punched in the
getting
face
punched.
Twice.
Yeah. You're like, yeah, you're a girl and you didn't know what you were doing. And I didn't have a contract on the writers or whatever. He was my friend. I know. So then, but that weird package that I made, it had a music video that I did for the band that I wanted on my soundtrack. Like I had it all together,
Yeah.
And I got a call from the record company from Capitol Records. And I went in to see they were like, come in to see us.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I realized like I had no permission to use the song. I was like totally worried. What are they going to say? And then I brought this friend of mine who's a producer, a girlfriend. She's not really a producer. She was just she worked with me. I was like, I need backup. And her boyfriend was in the band. And I was like, maybe you can like make sure I don't get in trouble and say that they said it was okay.
Yeah.
And he was like, his name was Frenchie. And he's like, how did you do this? And I was like, I used Super 8 from my, my camera department, the film school. I checked out my Super 8 camera. And he's like, is that how you got the shaky look? Like all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, like people were bumping into me as why the camera was shaking. He's like, can you do this exact same thing for this band? And I'll give you like a $65,000. And I was like, oh my God. And I became a music video director.
I mean, not only like not getting in trouble.
I know I didn't get in trouble.
They're so impressed with you. Like,
yeah. And then he called up, this guy named Jeff Aroff who ran Warner Brothers creative department. And so instead of like hiding me, he was like, you've got to see this girl. Like she's this young girl. She has an incredible style. At that point, everybody was making like these Billy Joel and Whitesnake videos. Like everything was all like this glossy sheen.
Yeah.
And I came in with this grainy handheld. Nobody had seen that.
Yeah.
Like they'd seen it in home movies, but nobody had seen a band shot like that.
Totally.
So it became like authentic and cool and edgy. And that's when I became the DP on a Husker Du video, who was directed by Bill Pope. I don't know if you know Bill Pope.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Legend.
so Bill Pope is Spider-Man. Yeah, like every Scott Pilgrim, Matrix. He's the DP of those things.
And then you go on, am I getting this right, to direct 155 music videos?
Probably, yeah, somewhere around there. I did so many.
Many.
I'm so slutty. I just had the best time in the world making
That's amazing.
videos. Yeah, it was
so then
good.
Was there sort of an inevitable, like, okay, I want to take a next step. I would like to direct a full-length feature. How'd you make that leap?
My goal was always to direct a feature. Like that was it. It was like, and then more of the debate was, you have to direct a feature before you have a baby too. I was like, you can't like have a baby and then direct it. It was like feature before all else.
Yep.
So I was like in my 20s and I was directing videos with the goal of one day directing a feature. So what I would do is I'd save my money from the music videos and I'd make short films.
Yep.
And I would enter them into film festivals. And then I would go to the film festivals and I would try to meet producers or whatever. I would try to do anything possible to try to convince people that I could direct a movie, and for sure, again, like some directors got out of film school and they were like, here's your movie. Or they did a bunch of music videos that were number one. Here's your movie.
I know. Just
wasn't happening with girls. So it was really frustrating because I was like friends with all those people and I was like, oh my God.
I know.
Yeah. And so it was just, and my videos were I had more bigger videos than anybody. So it was so stupid. So, so finally this woman, Diane Firestone, I got that same script. It was 6 years later. So I was 29 years old. That same script, Gun Crazy, I got it back.
Gun Crazy was the original one that you had. Stop. That is wild.
Yeah. So I called Matthew Bright, said, hey, you know, that script's up. Nobody ever made it. It's still available. So I got it back. I brought it into Diane. They had a budget of $400,000. And I was like, yeah, I could do it. I'm like, fuck it.
Sign me up.
Yeah, sign me up. I was like, here's my script. I could do it. And then, we got Drew on.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until somehow this guy, Michael Ironside, who knew?
Michael Ironside was the green light element.
Yeah.
Not Drew Barrymore.
Not Drew Barrymore. But Drew Barrymore at the time was like a washed up, like dancing on tabletops.
What year was this?
It was like 90s. It was early 90s.
Early 90s.
Like 91, 92.
Right. So Drew hadn't had sort of the renaissance.
No, she
yet.
was actually Bad News.
Okay,
she
got
was
it.
Bad News Bears.
Michael Ironside.
Michael Ironside got me another 400. Like I sold like some foreign rights, and so I got another 400, and so I was able to do it for 800,000.
Wow!
So I was like,
and did you like great experience? You are, and you've done a feature now, and so you have that under your belt.
Thank God I didn't get greenlit after film school because it took me 6 years of working on music videos, of getting a style, of knowing how to move a crew, of working with talent.
I was going to say, you're so good.
Like
with that.
I was a fucking champ by that time.
Totally.
And so my film, and I had only 23 days, and I worked with my DP, who I worked with all the time, Lisa Rinsler. And so like we crushed it. Like I knew every shot. I had it storyboard. It was like, it's a beautiful film. It holds up 100%.
Totally.
So I made it got Drew Barrymore a nomination for Golden Globe actress.
Yep.
Vincent Canby's top 10 list. Like I came out the gate, but it wasn't, thank God I didn't do it the first time. So it's these weird things where you're like, damn Hollywood, but you're also like, thank God Hollywood.
I know. And so then you were so seasoned. You are so, I mean, we've worked together, so I've seen it up close. You are so good on set, and you are so good with talent, and you are tireless.
Yeah.
And that, especially on those like long, I mean, set is exhausting.
Yeah.
It's not it's not easy. And to maintain that energy, enthusiasm, optimism, and like, you know, there's a problem arises constantly. And it's really just, how do you deal with it?
How do you deal with it?
You know, and you are, I just always really admired this about you, unflappable.
Yeah. Well, I love it. You know what I mean? I really enjoy it. I love the people I work with. And I'm having the best time in the world. Like, how lucky are we that we get to work in that business or this business? So I'm just like,
I know.
Yeah. I'm grateful every moment.
So great.
Yeah.
So then is CB4 right after Gun Crazy?
It was kind of right after Gun Crazy because I did a PSA with Chris Rock and a music video with Chris Rock. And I had like this weird comedy background because of my grandfather. I worked with him when I was like, you know, going to film school.
What was his name?
Stan Davis.
Okay.
So he's like really kind of like, if you look him up, he was like classic old school comedy writer. He also wrote TV. So he wrote like from Hogan's Heroes and Petticoat Junction. And, you know, he was original comic book, did Blondie, kind of like based on my grandma was like a dumb blonde. And so it's kind of like he was like original comedy writer. And then he also was like, his partner was Slappy White and he worked for Red Fox. Like Uncle Milty really was my Uncle Milty, you know, like, so I knew all those guys, but also I knew how dirty they were. Like they were all the nastiest people you could ever be around. But I knew that, and I knew how fun it was, and I knew.
Yeah.
And so there was something about that. And then when I met Chris, like he felt so familiar to me. Like he was like, I know you.
Yeah.
And and I just got that brand of humor. I was like, totally. I get it. So
it's such a great movie.
I know it's such a good movie.
And I don't even know if it was ahead of its time necessarily, but it felt rewatching it over the weekend. It still stands
up. And also it was like interesting because I recently went to a screening. My friend Kim Gordon came. So she and I are watching it and I was like, oh my God, I have no idea what this is. But I was like, okay, it's pretty good feminist values in here.
Yes.
Like I was like, oh, my feminist, like even within the chaos of a rap film, I was
very
like
much so.
Totally stood up of like what the girl message is.
Yes.
So I feel like that was always kind of like your ulterior motive. You're trying to be like, okay.
Yeah, you're Trojan horsing it a little bit. You're bringing your full self. Chris and everyone is bringing their full selves too. But you are in that recipe. And if it had been directed by someone else, it wouldn't have probably had that underlying, feminist value.
Yeah,
So
you
great.
see it. Like people would be like, I did like a bunch of work with NWA, and like you see like in my DOC videos, you're like, oh yeah, the women in those videos look a little different than the women in most of those other videos.
Exactly. Like you're hiring Tamra Davis, you're gonna get a specific thing.
You'll still get cute, hot girls.
For sure.
But they're gonna be more
empowered. Yes, exactly. Do you go right from CB4 to Billy Madison?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
Say more.
I know. It was kind of a disaster. So after CB4, then I had an incredible script. It was called Bad Girls. It was a female Western.
Mm-hmm.
So I got attached to that. It was at New Line. It was like, indie New Line movie.
That was Drew Barrymore again, right?
I brought Drew in to be in the movie.
Yep.
We started casting, and then halfway through when we were just about to get going, somehow my producers abandoned the New Line deal and took it to Fox. And then I know, and then all of a sudden, but they didn't change the below the line. They just went to the above the line.
Oh boy.
And then, and they hired other actresses. We went out, Lisa and I went out to start shooting.
Lisa, your DP?
My DP. Yep. We started. Yeah, I had my DP, I had my editor, I had everybody. And then we were there for less than a week, and they pulled the plug on me. And they were like, and it was an actress that wasn't happy. It was just like a total disaster.
Nonsense.
They weren't supporting me. They didn't give Lisa the equipment she needed. It was just like a full-on disaster. And they pulled the movie from me. And
that must have been so traumatic.
It was so traumatic.
Yeah.
And I came home and I was like, so sad, because this was like my big movie. I'd like worked out. My best friend Becky Johnson wrote it. She just won an Academy Award for Prince of Tides. It was like a big important film. No, they fired me. So I go home and I'm sobbing like crazy. But then also I realized they still had to pay me. So I was like, rich girl sobs.
Mm-hmm.
I was like
crying all the way
to the bank. And then I sat there and I was like, you know what? Fuck Hollywood. They can't tell me I'm not a director. I'm not a filmmaker. So I went out and I made this little film called No Alternative Girls that was like all my best girlfriends. It was like, it was on Riot Girls. It was like Kathleen Hanna and Courtney Love and the girl from Huggy Bear. It was like this kind of like it was for the Red Hot organization. So it was just like a short film, but I just shot it all myself, Luscious Jackson. And I was like, you can't, if I put a camera in my hand, I'm a filmmaker.
Correct.
And you can't tell me I'm not a filmmaker. I don't care what you say. So I was like bringing my confidence back. And then I get this phone call from Universal, and they were like, they had originally brought me out to New York to meet Adam Sandler, and I met with him and we really got along, but then he hired his best friend to direct the movie, and they were not even 3 days in, and their director got fired.
Got it.
And so then that was like on a Wednesday. On Thursday, the president of Universal and I fly in and then by Monday, I'm directing Billy Madison.
You are on set.
I'm on set.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I went from being like the fired director to being the director that replaces the fired person.
And reclaiming yourself in between. It's so traumatizing.
It's so traumatizing to be
fired in that way.
You also have to realize Hollywood can't tell you whether or not you're a director, and you can't let them. And so I was like, this power is in my hands because I'm a filmmaker. So I don't care what you say.
This is what I'm talking about though, the inspiration. So, because I think it sort of radiates off of you in how you carry yourself, in the work you've done, and we will get to this, in how you mother, just all the things. It's just, you're the best. Okay. So you find yourself now directing Billy Madison. Do you have a sense, as you guys are making this film, that this is going to be one for the ages? Do you see the magic coming off of Sandler? I could go on and on about what a fucking iconic film this is and his performance, but also just everything in that movie. We quote that movie all the time.
I know, me too.
Oh my God.
I feel in this weird way coming off of every project. Did I know Hanson singing Mbop, these kids that I'd only saw their passport photo would be the cutest boys in the world, whatever. No, you don't know. I knew because I thought they were the cutest things I'd ever seen. Do you know at the time? You have to believe it at the time because that's what inspires me.
Yes.
Is like, did I know Chris Rock, Adam Sandler, and Dave Chappelle would be the 3 biggest comedians of our time when I did their first movies? I thought they were the funniest fucking guys I've ever met. Like Dave and I were on a corner one day in Toronto and I couldn't stand up. I was laughing so hard. My stomach hurt so I couldn't even stand up. He's trying to lift me up, but I'm dead. I was just like, he had me laughing so hard. So did I know he was 23. Like, did I know he'd be Dave Chappelle? No. When we turned that movie around and Adam realized that, and I knew too, my superpower is being a girl and that comedians like to make girls laugh and that's your superpower is can Adam make me and Tim Hurley, his writing partner, can he get us to laugh? Can he get us to break in the middle of a scene and get us laughing? Like that's all you're trying to do.
That's the goal.
That's the goal. You're just like, we think you're the funniest guy. Let's see it. Let's make it let's laugh so hard that we can't even do the next scene. Right? My boom man is laughing. Like he's
the best.
Yeah. I'm like, that's the best. So you're just trying to get to that place constantly. And you don't know. And you can't never know. You're just trying to do the best you can with what you have.
Totally.
And have a great time while you're doing it because that's all you have anyway.
I'm so struck by what you're saying. Like, I thought they were the funniest. I thought they were the cutest because that is the lens to which every filmmaker should go into everything with, right? But
that's all you have. That's all I have is my personal thing that I think that's the best song I've ever heard. Or I think Drew is the cutest girl. I would do anything for you.
Yes.
But
period.
But that's not what Hollywood said at that moment.
I want to go back to Billy for one quick sec just to say.
I love Billy.
I mean, is that the movie that people talk to you about the most probably over the years?
I think Billy's like that. But, it's weird. You never know. Like, the Basquiat film, I get a lot of, love from that nowadays. And then you wouldn't believe it, but Crossroads. Like really? Crossroads is a big girl movie. Like I have so many young women that come up to me and say, you don't even know what Crossroads meant to me.
That's wonderful.
I know. And so because it was like, Shonda Rhimes wrote it.
Yes.
It's like a super girl. It's all girls behind the camera, girls in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And we were making a movie for girls.
And you did.
And we did.
Totally.
Yeah.
So I love that. Okay. I just have to say, Billy Madison, like, there's movies that hold up and then there's movies that are canon, really.
Yeah.
That one
it's
is
a good one. Yeah.
Oh my God. We rewatched it again over the weekend.
Oh, you did?
And so many things that we quote all the time are from there. But we were laughing so hard when I think it's Jim Downey when he's like, and I award you no points. Yeah. And may God have mercy on your soul.
We are all now dumber from listening to that speech. Yeah. No, that's classic. That I hear it all the time. I remember after I read the script, they had been shooting. So I arrived and I was like, wait a minute, Adam, those are your 2 friends in the movie? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, they're like 40 years old. They're like old men. I was like, Norm Macdonald is like a 40-year-old man. Like, that's not what I thought when I read it. And so you're just like, you just go with it.
You do.
You go with it. And you're like, okay. I was like, that's the maid? Like you wrote all this weird sexual stuff with the maid and that's your maid? Like, because I had read the script and all of a sudden I arrived there and I'm like, these are the people? I was like, okay. And you see
and it works.
And it worked.
It's just, there's such O'Doyle rules.
O'Doyle rules is hilarious. Yeah.
It's amazing.
We were just like having fun and that's Adam's brand of humor. And you just have to be like, I believe this is the funniest thing and I'm just going to go with it. And he thinks it's funny. So I support him. I'm his enabler.
This is exactly, that's a good word for it. But this is why you're such a great filmmaker too, because the collaboration with talent who like, it's not like, oh, who should we get to play Billy Madison, right? Like this was hatched from within. And talk about a vehicle that made everyone see like the true magic.
Oh, yeah.
It's incredible. Incredible.
Yeah.
So then did you do Half Baked after that?
Yes, pretty much right after.
Okay. And that's for Universal as well. So like you're on a great run there.
Yeah.
And then are you directing music videos during this time as well?
Very few. I think like I just got on a kick of doing features.
Yeah.
Then I just did like, if anybody gave me a job on a feature, I would be like, I got to take it.
Did you have the fear, was part of it that there was a fear of like, if I turn something down, there's not going to be one behind it?
I think every person who works in Hollywood thinks that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And they're lying if they say otherwise.
Yeah. So I definitely think like that aspect of it, but it's a deeper thing when you're like, I cannot even believe I have the opportunity.
Yeah.
Why would I not do so? And I loved working. So I love it still to this day. So I'm just like,
totally.
If I get the opportunity, I'm going to say yes.
Totally.
Yeah.
When, I'm just trying to place when you had your kids.
I kind of went all the way up till I was on Crossroads. So the last kind of big feature.
Were you pregnant on Crossroads?
I think, unfortunately, I had a miscarriage during post on Crossroads. So, but I remember like I was like getting into my mid to late 30s, you know, and I was like, I really had said like, okay, I'd done I think at least 10 features at that point.
Yeah.
Which was a lot for a girl. Like you look at that time, like no girl had done like 10 features. Not even the big girls.
No, like, exactly. There's a lot of time in between those. And you are going.
No, I was doing like one a year.
Yeah.
I was just like boom, boom, boom. Yeah. So
really hard.
Having so much fun, grateful working. And I was married, you know, to a musician.
Yep.
And so and he was on the road a lot. And so I realized like if I want to get pregnant and have a baby, I just made like a definite decision. I was like, look, I spent all this time on my career.
Yep.
If I take all that energy and just put it into making a family, like I think I can like, let's try to do that at this point. You know, I can always go back, but it's like, this is the time. My window is closing. So I was like, do that. And then also, I was just like, 30s, you gotta do something.
It becomes very real.
It becomes very real.
The road's gonna fork, and either and this, I mean, even today, like freezing your eggs was not a thing.
Yeah, I remember showing this is like gritty, but I remember showing like a rough cut to Sherry Lansing, and you trying to get through getting a sign off from your studio, whatever thing you're on, the note, whatever, going through that process is it's torture. It's its own form of torture.
Yes.
So I was at the Paramount bathroom and I was like, oh, I just lost that baby.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so you're like, and it's all, nobody knows anything, you know, it's all quiet. Nobody knows. And then I was just like, and so Crossroads was done. And then I was like, got offered to do another movie. And it was with my same producer that I'd worked with before. And I just was like, I can't, I have to like take time off right now.
Yeah.
And I'm going to really try to focus on my family. And and then I was like, then I was just like, okay, I'm going to just stay with Mike, just hang out with Mike and just do whatever I can.
Yeah.
And imagine myself as a mom. And so, so I tried everything from, everything. IVF didn't work, everything. A saint, giving her green bananas, like everything I could possibly do.
Yeah.
And I had a few miscarriages and then finally one stuck. Yeah.
And that was Skylar? That was Davis.
Yeah,
okay.
The first one.
Because you're such a badass that you named your older son your last name, which is so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it so
Diamond.
much. Okay. So then Davis and then Skylar.
Yeah.
Okay. And how many years apart were they?
Nothing. Like I had Davis.
You're like, let's go.
No, it was the opposite. I had Davis and it was like amazing. Like I was like in full love, happiness, whatever. Then Davis was not even a year old. He was probably 10 months, like getting close to a year. And I wanted to go back to work. And my agent at the time was a big, powerful agent. He was like, you should just relax and be a mom. And I was like, no. Why did you say that to me? That's not the thing you say to the person that's like, will I even have a career when I go back?
Yeah.
Like, I have a baby. I'm happy. Like, he's like 10 months old, 11 months old. I'm ready to go back to work. And he's like, you should just like chill and just be a mom. And I was like, no. So he and I had a big blow up, and I left my agency. And then I found out I was pregnant again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it wasn't because I was trying. I was like the opposite.
Right.
I was like, I don't want to
works?
go through what the drama that I always wanted to have 2 kids.
Yeah.
But I was like, the emotional drain
Yeah.
that I went through trying to have a baby, and the amount of miscarriages that I went through, I was like, that's just too, it was a lot.
Totally.
And so I was like, I'm so grateful for one, whatever. And then all of a sudden, and I was breastfeeding, and I got pregnant again, and I was like, oh my God. So no, they're just 20 months apart.
Wow.
Yeah, they're like twins. Yeah.
That is. And now, just to fast forward a little bit, now they are in a band together, right?
Yeah.
And always have been super close.
Yeah, they're the best.
20
months friends.
Yes.
Well,
their
there's
band
like a thing called Very Nice Person.
Very Nice Person. I was going to say Very Good Person.
Very Nice Person. And they're the best boys ever.
I mean, they really are. And you are you are like a boy mom role model to me. And they are the coolest. The nicest. And, you know, growing up as the sons of you and all of your accomplishments and Mike D of the Beastie Boys, like that's a whole thing.
In all honesty, I think they only now have any concept of who I am.
Really?
Well, because in a marriage like that, it's Mike.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's part of what's kind of like a fun thing about a non-marriage.
Yes.
It's no longer
exactly. Yeah.
about the guy.
Totally.
Yeah. So, but yeah, like, and it was amazing because they could go on tour together. They always had like a buddy on tour together, or we move, you know, you move around a lot when you're in a band like that. And
totally.
Yeah. But I was pregnant with Skylar when I got my new agent, and I went and I started to do TV. And TV was the blessing that like
exactly
came out of nowhere. Yeah.
And so because we met when you were directing TV, and I want to back up for just a sec, but then there's something sort of pivotal that happened then too. So you then continue directing television while you are raising 2 little kids. And because of, I guess, the schedule of that, you can have downtime when you are fully like carpool line. And then also, are you shooting mostly in LA when we used to shoot things in LA?
No, it was like with doing a movie is like, that is a big commitment. And I'm so happy that there's so many women now that direct with babies. Like that is a thing. Good for them.
Yes.
I knew what it took from me. And, it's just like when I'm working, my head is 100%. Like I'm like that's all I think about. I wake up in the morning, so I will go to the, you know, I'm on the set. I go home. I need to still prep. I'm not a human. I'm like an avatar to the thing of what's going on over there.
Yes.
So I'm not a good wife. I'm not a good mom at that time necessarily. And so, but on a TV show, you do a half-hour show. In those days, you get 4 or 5 days, and that's shooting. That's it.
No, and
the rest is just prep and post.
Exactly.
Flexi. So, like, you could do like a bunch of TV shows because that's only my kids will survive with 4 days or 5 days where they don't see their mom.
Yes.
So, so that was like a miracle that I could, you know, have that situation.
Yeah.
And so that saved me and like brought me back. But before I even did that, I also was doing these weird cooking shows. You get home with 2 kids. The whole thing that, you know, you can do is just like, you have to cook for everybody.
Yep.
You have to cook for these kids. I want them to be healthy. I've always been a healthy person.
Yeah.
And in order to have a social life, now I have to have fancy friends come over for dinner. Right. And I've got to cook dinners that like friends that I lived in New York a lot of the time.
Yeah.
That can go to any fancy restaurant, has to come to my house and eat my food. So I went to cooking school. I learned how to cook. I studied. And then I turned the camera on myself, and because my goal was trying to teach other moms how to cook. Mm-hmm. And also if I had a good recipe, I wanted to share it because that's the best thing when you have a good recipe.
The best.
And then, but it made me a filmmaker again with my kids. Like I'd put them on the counter. It showed the life of what a mom is like and how to cook and how to deal with that. So it was like I was showing a lifestyle and filming it all. But first thing to tell you is I was first year YouTube. So I was like first year, the first people to get anything on YouTube. I was like a huge mommy vlogger. I was on CBS News, the top mommy vlogger. Like I had a whole
amazing.
And that's when I was like really close with Gwyneth, and she was like, I'm going to start this newsletter. And I'm like, we were trying to turn now we were these working Hollywood girls, and now we're like home in Tribeca with 2 babies and rock star husbands. And we're like, how do we turn this into something where we can like do our lifestyle, but still like, is there a job there as well?
Yes. And be creative, right? The creativity. I love this quote that I believe is a Brene Brown quote, but it's unused creativity is not benign. And there is a thing, especially in what I'll call, having been home full time with my kids too, like there's a maelstrom where like the days are running into each other and you need to do so much. And also it's like wildly boring at times also. So to be creative and to have that outlet.
You have to survive. Yeah. What are your survival techniques
when
you have these 2 kids?
Exactly.
And all of a sudden you're just like the poop cleaner, milk giver, emotional, solver of everything. 3 men and 3 boys in your family.
Exactly. I still feel that sometimes.
So it gave me a camera. I could film it. And if you look at them, they're beautifully shot. Like I shoot them all myself. And it's like, if I had to go do a reshoot, I'd be like, put my kids back in the same clothes, wear the same outfit, go back in the kitchen.
Totally.
I'd be like,
continuity, guys.
Continuity. It was like, I had so much fun. And then at night I'd put them to bed and I would edit, do my little voiceover, and I would put them on that new thing called YouTube. And all of a sudden I was a filmmaker again with the distribution thing. And and I became like, this huge mommy vlogger. And wrote cookbooks.
And in the midst of that, are you also still directing television, or is this really the focus? And the boys are young.
The boys are young. Like I would probably do when they were super little, that was mostly doing that. And then maybe doing like 3 episodes or 4 episodes a year.
So you still have that.
I still was always doing, in the hopper.
And then what ultimately happened in terms of the vlogging and the cooking?
Well, and one good news is that there was one part was could this be my career? Like almost, and I'm doing like commercials for Samsung, and they're like, "Well, you get a free kitchen." I'm like, "I already have a kitchen. I don't know what I'm going to do with the refrigerator." Like, all these appliances. But like, I was like, and I kept asking myself, if you work hard enough, something will it actually pay off? But it was hard. That wasn't being monetized yet. Like I was as celebrity, whatever. I couldn't walk into a Whole Foods without getting recognized. But it was like, and I was definitely giving people whatever, inspiring women to cook. And I was a filmmaker, so I like that. But what helped is I did a little documentary, like a short on Basquiat, because I had all this footage, and I put that into a film festival. And then I got asked, could I make it into a feature? And I said yes, because I was like, I can do it myself. Now I had confidence that I don't need a crew. Because I was like, how do I get back into Hollywood? I have 2 kids. I want to make features again. How do I get back into being considered a director, being on that list? And so I was like, okay, I could do a documentary, and that's something I could do with my kids. Like, I could be a mom, and it takes a while, but it's like, I could put my camera group on my moped, my Vespa scooter, drive around the East Village, go interview somebody, and just set up 2 cameras.
And then when there's a doctor's appointment or a parent-teacher conference, you also can be at those.
I'm available.
So it's sort of an ideal working mom segue back. Well, you never also, you don't stop working throughout the entire time. You're just also making it work in a lifestyle.
Like 1 year. When I found out I was pregnant with Skylar and I had Davis, I was like, oh man.
Oh, dude.
I'm like back in. I'm like, that's it. You could be pregnant, but you can't really have a baby and be pregnant.
No.
Like, I remember directing Method and Red, and I was like 8 months pregnant. And I was like, they were like, we only have 10-hour days. I'm like, hell yeah.
Thank God.
Thank God. I'm
I
like,
mean,
I'll
and
be
being on
done
your
in 10
feet and
hours.
like,
I was like,
exactly.
I'm totally fine with me. You'll be done in 10 hours.
You bet.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing. Always on time,
Always on time.
always on budget and
Budget time.
schedule,
Yeah.
so efficient.
Yeah.
And like, we got it and I'm feeling good about it. Or I think we need one more. Like, you're not overly adherent to anything. You're very flexible within the framework of being structured.
Yeah.
And that to me is the best kind of filmmaker.
Like, you want to make sure we get it done.
Yep.
And then you also want to make sure you had fun and you didn't leave anything on the table. Was there a joke?
Yes.
Did we miss a joke? Does anybody got anything else?
Exactly.
Let's do a fun run.
A fun run.
Just do it.
Exactly.
You know, so have it, make sure everybody feels like they got it. And then, but I'm on, you know, and it's like, hey, we could do that again. I just want to let you know that's your choice. Like, I should be at this next thing by now, but if this is really important, that's your choice, and make it that the producers are involved in that, and not make it my decision and take it away. And now we're late. And you guys are like, what are you doing?
No.
So, you know, it's like really being communicative and and having a plan. Like, I always come in with a plan.
So prepared.
Yeah. Super prepared.
And exactly. If you don't have that roadmap, it's not just so easy to get lost in the weeds. You will. Like, there's too many cooks in every kitchen. The amount of people on a crew, the amount of personalities, whether that's above or below the line, it's a lot. So for you to come in and be the leader and also set the example in such a great way.
I was the early girl director. I didn't have to be as good as the guys. I had to be better.
Way better. Backwards in high heels.
Backwards in high heels.
That's what it is. No, I know.
So that's where I was coming from, and I knew it. And I was like, fuck yeah. I would like drive home after a shoot and be like, I just crushed that day. I had 46 setups.
The best.
You old men, you would never have been able to do that. And so that gives me confidence, because it's also like, I've watched those guys direct. I know what they can do.
100%. Yeah, my grandmother had this saying, if you want something done, give it to a busy woman.
Yeah.
And I do feel like those days when you're like, how many setups? But great. Let me roll up my sleeves, make a plan.
Yeah, we do it.
Make sure I'm communicating really well with everybody. I always say, I feel like, and the percentage can change, but I'll say 80% of the problems on set in this town are miscommunications and assumptions.
Yeah.
20% are people just being motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And like that you can't avoid. But so the percentage changes, but that's why I always try, and I've observed this so many times, over communicate. Like, just want to make sure we're on the same page here. You know, all of those.
Is exactly what we're doing. And also being open to, if somebody has a creative idea that they want to add, be like, what? Oh my God, that sounds hilarious. Do it.
Yes.
Yeah. And just be like, so you're approachable. You're not like so stiff. It's like,
exactly.
If there's a better thing, like, show me. I want to know. Like, let's make sure we get the best.
This is the magic of Tamra Davis. You are a fucking badass, and also really empathic and flexible throughout the whole thing.
I try to be. Yeah. Like, that's the goal. Like, because I think that's when people work well together, and then you get everybody driving home as well, thinking they did a good job that day. Then they come back the next day and they're so happy, and they're going to try to do it again. And so I feel like that's what you get, is you get a crew that is like, oh, if I roll this cable up a little quicker, like, she's going to get me out in the same amount. Like, I'm going to see my family tonight.
Correct.
And have dinner.
And again, long days on set, and just having that. I'm going to tell a quick story while we're on this topic, actually. So I stayed home, as you know, I stayed home full time with my kids for 3.5 years. So I couldn't figure out, for what I do, how to do it part time. So I was home 3.5 years, no help. I always hesitate to say, like, stopped working, because as we both know, that is actually the most work you'll ever do and the hardest job you'll ever do. And it was so great and so hard and all the things. And I'm so glad I did that. But also getting back into this industry, having just been truly, like, as I always joke, like picking applesauce out of my hair, nursing a baby, and like driving someone somewhere. So I came back, I had a job. I then went to work for the Lonely Island guys. And that's where we met, because you were directing episodes of Alone Together. So we were filming at Hollywood Forever Cemetery, and it was lunch, which I'm putting that in quotes only because we were shooting at night at the cemetery. So lunch was like as the sun was going down, it was like 6 p.m. And you and I are sitting there and get into this long conversation about working motherhood and how challenging it is, but also how rewarding and all of it. And it was really this moment for me of being able to, and I didn't even realize it until we were sitting there, and I can picture like where we were at these tables, that I was able to sort of release some shame because, and I didn't even realize it was shame at having, I was just home with my kids. Like there was something about that in an industry like this. And, when I came back and started interviewing even, and I had a 3-year gap on my resume, and the first interview I ever had, the guy was like, "What have you been doing for 3 years?" And I was like, "I've been home full time with my kids." Like, I'm like stiff as a board, but also like dying inside. And I ran into a lot of that, but I also, it was like more of a subconscious shame. And you just being a model for me as someone who is a really good mom, really attuned, really involved, and also really committed to the job you're doing. That I like hadn't seen that before. It had really been one or the other. And because the boys were then teenagers, which now my boys are teenagers, but at the time my boys were 2 and 5 when I went back to work, right? So I still was in that pull of what am I missing and feeling guilty if I'm not at something for them. So I say this just to say, I don't even know if you know how important that conversation was as we had like, okay catering before we shot in a cemetery that night, but I have such a wonderful memory of it. And I think that's why I just like gravitated toward you as a real model.
That's so sweet.
And as my boys have continued to get older, like still, honestly, I remember us taking a walk on the beach in Malibu during the pandemic when I was losing my mind, but also you've just always been like such a good, safe space, I think, for what you're feeling is natural, and we all feel that. And also like keep going.
And we could do it. It's just like going to look different than it was before.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, that's so kind. No, that's the thing of like when you say general meeting or just like that's what you get when you meet and talk to people in person. You get humanity, you get advice, you get that stuff. And I think that's the things that why I continue to put myself out there, because like, you never know if one weird line that I said, sometimes like I have girls coming up to me and saying these kinds of things all the time, and I'm not aware of it, but like, I'm like, oh my God, I must have said something to that girl that gave her that thing.
That had such
impact on her. And now she's doing something. And so, like, that's the power of what you can do. So it's like, I'm so excited that I make movies, but I didn't make movies just for me. I made movies so that some little girl sits in a movie theater and says directed by and sees a girl's name. And because that voice, I want to hear her voice. I want girls to be able to see that other girls can do it. They can make movies that you didn't think was a female movie, and yet a girl sat in those rooms and she was there and she did it. And so that's the thing that I'm always like, to try to inspire. It could be anybody, it could be boys too. I don't really care. It's like inspiring anybody who thinks that they can't do it because they don't look like something that's been done before.
Exactly. And you have and continue to. Your just attitude is always fantastic. And it is inspiring.
If I say a thing here and there that inspires somebody to pick up a camera or walk into a meeting, and because also that's the thing is like, I want to do it different. Like, I'm not like some big ballsy lady that's going to go out there and I'm very nice and quite whatever. I'm kind. I'm like a nice person. You can always come up to my chair and talk to me. Like, I want to be, I'd rather you think you want to be my friend, than, oh my God, I'm afraid of her. I don't know, whatever. So maybe some people are still afraid of me, but I'm
A few select ones.
A few select ones, it's okay. Yeah. But I'm like, I want to show that you could also lead people with kindness, and you could lead with communication and a smile, and you don't have to like act like an asshole to get people to follow you.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Did the boys name their band Very Nice Person after you?
No, I know. No, they are the nicest boys. Like, really honestly, people come up to me constantly and are just like, well, I don't know what you did. You really, and I'm like, it's them, but it is also the way you raise your children.
100%.
It's your, you try, that's what, I don't know. I love that responsibility.
Before we get to last looks, I'd forgotten earlier, I wanted to shout out your sister, who is one of the most incredible and honestly like iconic Hollywood casting directors.
The best.
Kim Davis Wagner and her partner Justine Baddeley. Well, they are amazing. I didn't want to forget as I was looking. I know they cast Crossroads, but they've worked with you many, many times.
Well, that was like when I did music videos, I'd be like with my 14-year-old sister, bringing her to a club at 15, 14. I'd be like, Kim, go up to that girl or go up to those skater boys. Like, I made her go up to everybody to cast them on the street. We did street casting for all those music videos.
Oh my God.
So we were just like, she just became like the classic eye. She could just pick a kid off a street and be like, star. We know it.
Amazing. Yeah. Okay. We are at the final part, the final segment called Last Looks. I wanted this podcast to be a number of different things. I wanted it to be a real one-on-one, just kind of diving deep on someone, whether that be, their career or what inspires them, whatever it is. And then also a bit of an appreciation and remembrance of the pop culture that we love, that we grew up on, that we revisit, especially during these super dark times. I mean, us rewatching Billy Madison, which... my husband was in college from 1993 to 1998. That is like injected into their veins. So like he can recite that movie backwards and forwards, but my kids love it too. It's it's so great. So hanging with Billy and Veronica Vaughn was like visiting with old friends.
Aww,
it's awesome.
They are.
Okay. Which is a very long tee up too. So first question, what is your favorite movie of all time?
A lot of them are older films that I think of. Like, I think of Wizard of Oz, which is just the best movie ever made.
Yeah.
Most amazing. It has everything. Yeah. And so I just but I'm like, Star Wars. I'm like I just like, but I'm also like, Paper Moon is like my favorite film, or Sullivan's Travels.
Yeah.
Like I go from Ninochka to Everything Everywhere All at Once, so I'm all over the place.
Yeah.
And I watch a crazy amount of movies. I probably watch 5 or 6 a week.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Incredible.
And I read more than anything.
Oh, we're going to get to that. Yeah. Okay. I'm so excited. Okay. You are stranded on a deserted island. Yeah. You have 2 albums with you to help maintain your sanity while you're there. What are those 2 albums?
Another hard one.
Yeah.
Because I was like...
Especially for a music person.
In one weird way, it's like I don't want to get sick of the record. So first I was like, at first I was going to say Beatles, Sgt. Pepper. But then I was like, you know what? I really loved Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys. And it's so complex and like interesting. So I really like that.
Love that. Great choice.
And then I was also kind of like Paul's Boutique. There's something about Paul's Boutique.
Hell yes.
That I was like, both of those records, every cut is so unique.
Okay, third question, reading. Either favorite book of all time or just a book you've read lately that has really stuck with you and you would recommend.
I read pretty much everything on the bestseller list.
Yeah.
I'm always like up on that. And then I read classics all the time. I'm reading actually Pachinko.
Oh, cool.
I'm about to read Audition is in my thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Flesh is in my thing. And the Virginia Giuffre, her book is in my... so I read maybe a book every 3 or 4 days.
That's awesome.
So I'll get through those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the next 2
amazing.
weeks.
Amazing. Yeah. Okay. Last question. And because you are still directing so much TV and also features, but I know this is a hard question, but either favorite TV show of all time or a TV show you've watched recently and loved and would recommend.
I mean, I loved, Downton Abbey was so fun to watch like back in the day. Like that actually inspired me to want to direct television because at the end of the day, after having these 2 kids, I would pour myself a glass of wine and I would get into a bathtub and that damn theme song would come on and I would just be like, this is it. Like, take me away.
Yes.
Just
it's like the Calgon.
The Calgon. Like, and so you see that's why I was like, I know what a TV show can do to a mom. It took away all my problems that day and I got to get into somebody else's problems.
Yes.
And I remember like throwing up like crazy with Davis.
Pregnant.
Like, pregnant. I was just like, I lost so much weight. Like it was a nightmare. I gained a lot of weight, but like in the beginning, it was like disastrous. Friends.
Yes.
Like, and Seinfeld.
Right.
Like, I couldn't
Those
have
were the security blankets.
The security blankets. I could not have gotten through my pregnancy without episodes of Friends. And I just would lay there and go,
Exactly. I have my Ross and Rachel mug over there, my Central Perk candle up there. I'm obsessed with Friends. It's true. And when I had COVID, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago at this point, but we were still like, I was just in our bedroom. Matt was in the guest room. Like I couldn't see anyone. It was really like pre-vaccine, I want to say. And so we were really nervous. I just watched all my favorite Friends episodes for a week. It was the coziest. I felt better. I know. It's perfect. Tamra Davis, I can't thank you enough for doing this. This was so delightful.
So I'm just so happy to get to talk to you and hang out with you. I'm like, I'll come over and have a cup of coffee with you. That sounds fun.
I love it. And we're going to take another walk on the beach soon.
Yes.
I never know how to end a podcast, so I'm just going to get up and give you a hug.
Oh,
thank you. That was so lovely. General Meeting with Becky Sloviter is hosted and executive produced by me, Becky Sloviter. Our editor is Jay Rothman. Our audio engineer and director of photography is Hector Fernandez. Our tech producer is Griffin Davis. And our theme music is by Jay Rothman. If you're enjoying this podcast, I would be so appreciative if you would subscribe or follow the show on whatever platform you get your podcasts. All of our episodes are on video as well on our YouTube channel at General Meeting Pod. Please consider subscribing there as well. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok at General Meeting Pod. And more information is on our website, generalmeetingpod.com. Thank you, and most importantly, go Birds.